Coming up on Open for Business, we have a conversation with the Teachers Association of Anne Arundel County. Today on Open for Business, we're highlighting the Teachers Association of Anne Arundel County, also known as TAAAC, and their partnership with Anne Arundel County Public Schools. Here today to provide more insight about TAAAC and their mission is Christina Corona. Now, remember to scan the QR code and send your questions and feedback to today's guests. Hello, Christina, and thank you for being here today.
Oh, thanks for having me.
I personally have an affinity and affection for TAAAC because as a former teacher and still an educator, I think people should know what you do. So I want to start with what is TAAAC and what does TAAAC do and what's your role in TAAAC?
Okay. So I'm the president of TAAAC. I was elected in the spring by all the members, and my term started August 1st. What TAAAC essentially is we're one of the 4 unions within the school system, and we represent the certificated employees, so who are not administrators. So those are primarily classroom teachers, but it also includes school counselors, school psychologists, social workers. So we have a range of different people who are, and we work together as members to best advocate for ourselves. And so that's what unions do is they, are fighting for, better working conditions. And, one of the things is, of course, we're fighting for our own working conditions, but what we like to say is educator working conditions are students' learning conditions. So as we improve things for ourselves, we're also improving things for our students.
And I think that's amazing because there's so many teachers and their capacity to do their work is affected by a lot of external things. And so it's good to have some organization to represent them.
Yeah.
So just thinking about like over the last few years, what do you think is probably some of the most impactful things that the organization has been able to do for educators?
Yeah. When I really look at probably the most impactful thing that's happened in the last several years is the Blueprint for Maryland's Future. This is something that we at TAAAC advocated for, but really educators across the state advocated for this really monumental piece of legislation. And there were multiple components. We're actually in the process right now of implementing this legislation. But it's something that is going to really transform Maryland into one of the best school systems in the entire country. There was a commission, the Kerwin Commission, that looked at all the best school systems, both here in the United States, but across the world, and said, what do the best school systems have in place? They made recommendations to the General Assembly, and that law was passed. As I said, we're still implementing it. It's about a 10-year phase-in for this legislation. But some of the really key highlights are expanding pre-K to help our younger learners, all the way up into our high school with our career and technical, giving students more opportunities for apprenticeships and building their skills, whether they want to go into college or whether they want to go into the trades, but giving them an avenue so that when they leave high school, they are better prepared. Along with that, it actually also looked at, educators. And we know that compensation is a key component to keeping people. The crisis is real in education where we're struggling to retain people. We're struggling to fill vacancies. We've done a lot better in this county, but we still have some vacancies. And it's really because we don't have a pipeline coming in to, the education field. This has been a struggle for many years, but the Blueprint helped to raise beginning teacher salaries because we know when people are leaving high school and they're in college, they're looking at what is going to be a field that's going to best help me to, take care of myself, take care of my family, and they're not seeing education as that field. And so by raising those beginning, educator salaries, and also providing leadership opportunities for classroom teachers to stay in the classroom, but still become leaders within their building, that's going to help grow the profession, which I think is really critical. So I think that legislation, which we're still fighting to work to improve, every legislation, especially a big piece of legislation, needs some tweaks. So we're fighting and advocating to make it better than what it is, and also to make sure that the funding is there so that we can keep it going all the way into the end and see it all the way through.
I think those things are so powerful because of just sort of the levels that you have to deal with. And you made mention about how other places sort of function. Have you, looking at what this union does, have you had the opportunity to look at maybe other school systems and see, well, what can we borrow from those things to implement that may work here?
Yeah, well, actually, I was just recently at a conference, and one of the things I thought was really powerful was a labor management kind of partnership. And again, my term just started August 1st. Dr. Bedell's relatively new. We just elected a new school board. And so I think we have the right conditions in place because I think all of us are on the same page. And I think if we're more intentional about looking at what are our common interests, what are the things that we all agree are some of the goals. We all want Anne Arundel County to be the best place for students to learn. We want it to be the best place for educators to teach and work with our students and serve our students. And so if we have that common interest, if we are very intentional about building partnerships and saying, how can we get there? What are the things, and giving educators a voice at the table. And I think with Dr. Bedell and our new school board, I think we have a good opportunity to really strengthen our relationship between, us as, the educators in the system, with them, with management, to say, what are the things that we need to do, and let's work to do that in a common way. And so I'm very hopeful about what's possible with the leadership in the school system to really partner with us.
And I think, you've shown where there have been things that have been implemented. So what
Yeah.
are some things that you think or you aspire for in the future as the organization for either educators, the classroom, or some things like that? What are a few things that you're looking forward to for the future?
Well, so we're actually working on a campaign right now, sustain and retain, because we want to make education a sustainable profession. Right now, class sizes and caseloads are very high. We don't have as much planning time as we need. And so we want to make this a job where it feels doable, that educators can walk into their schools and feel like they really can meet the needs of the students that they're serving. And that's going to help us to actually retain and keep educators here. We want to be competitive with our surrounding districts. We're getting there. But I think there's work to do to get there further. And part of it is having the funding that we need. And so that's one of the things that we're working on, both for the blueprint, but even here at the county level. We need to invest. Our children in the school district, they're worth the investment of, the funding that we need to make sure that we have the resources, that we have enough of the staff to lower those class sizes, lower the caseloads. And then our educators can feel that they're able to do this job.
And I can empathize with that across the board because the students feel, when the teachers have pressure. Now, some teachers,
Right.
your seasoned ones who figure out how to do those things, they
Right.
really, to do it well. But speaking of like what you do and the things that kind of go on behind the curtains, what are some things that TAAAC does that people may not know you do? Because I know as a teacher, there were things that I was surprised to learn that you did. And I'm like, wow, they really do a lot of things. So what are a couple of things that you think should be highlighted for people who are unaware?
Yeah. So, obviously we're talking a lot about fighting for our own, salaries, our working conditions. But we do a lot, just with we're also fighting for the whole community. We really believe in racial and social and economic justice for all. And we want to be in the community. So one of the things, we have done, like the backpack programs that the county has, we have helped to support that. So we do community service activities. We've been out in the community, whether it's being at a community event running a booth, whether it's the Pride Festival or Juneteenth. We want to be in more community events because we are part of the community. Our students and their families are part of the community. And in addition to that, just fighting more for the economic justice. Living in this county is very hard. We need more affordable housing. And that's not something that just impacts us as educators, but it impacts everyone. So we really see ourselves as fighting for making this entire community the best place for all. And we're part of that community, and we want to be in more events out in the community. So I'm hoping even with this program, we want to be invited and be participants and partners with our entire community.
And, I think those things are all important because there are specific things and ideas that people think you do, but you sharing what else is there is really important.
Yeah.
So in sharing that, because questions could be created from those things, what's the best way for people to find out information about the organization and to get in touch with people in the organization?
Sure. So we have a website, taaconline.org. That's TAAAC, 3 A's, TAAAC online.org. And we also have social media. So we have a Facebook page, we have Instagram, So, check us out on our social media to hear the things that we're doing. Go to our website, and those are the best places to find out what we're doing.
That's amazing. Well, I want to thank you for being here. And did you have any sort of final thoughts or anything that you wanted to share about going into understanding what you all do as an organization for appreciating the work you do?
Well, I think the most important thing to just, to realize is, we as educators, the more that educators have a voice, the more that they have the ability to impact their schools and our larger community, that helps our students. And so that we're there for the students. We want this school system and this community to be the best place for them. And the more that we're working together as a whole, it's better for everyone. And that's, public education is really the foundation of our communities. It's the foundation of our democracy. And, we want to be partners with this community and in strengthening, and making sure that our students have the best future. And so the more that educators are supported in the work that we do, the more our students are going to be successful.
Well, I wish you the best, and we'll continue to support you as well. And so thank you for being here. And remember that you can scan the QR code to send your questions and give feedback to today's guests. And again, thank you for watching Open for Business.